Hey there, everyone. Welcome again to another amazing series of SheRises, Amplify, and Thrive Life Speaker Series, where we have incredible spiritual masters, gurus, healers, thought leaders, change makers, visionaries, you name it. We have them on here sharing their messages and their inspiration with all of you. And as you know, all of the proceeds that you sign up for each and every speaker goes to the SheRises, Amplify, and Thrive Foundation, where we are helping women and guiding women to stepping into their leadership, stepping into their entrepreneurship. And we are really encouraging women to stand tall in who they are and everything else that makes them them. So today, just so you know, I am your host, Kelly Boyer, and today I have Blaire on. And Blaire is a Reiki Master, a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, an astrologer, and she also leads leads communities that are focused in empowerment. And after a personal loss, she shifted to holistic healing to helping others thrive. And today, our topic, I'm really interested in this topic. When you submitted it, I was like, I cannot wait to talk to her because we're going to be talking about love songs from you to you. So, welcome, Blaire. I'm super excited to have you here. And um, I know that I gave a brief introduction of you. Is there anything else that you want to add to that before we dive into the love songs from you to you?
Not really. They can find out more about me on my site. I mean, if they want to know any more details, I think that was sufficient. I like to
Perfect.
talk about the nitty-gritty more than to check off what all the stuff you've done. So,
Right. And they can catch your full bio in your event center on our website where they sign up for your call. So, love songs from you to you. My first question is, how did you come up with that title? Like, how did that come in?
um, well, I don't know how long ago. I think it was in the fall last year that I was going through a lot of deep healing.
Mhm.
Or I had been going through a lot of deep healing. I was kind of coming out on the other side. And for me, I call that like a recovery period. Like for me, if healing to me feels like, it's almost like the reverse of what we describe as like a plot line. So you've got some buildup, there's tension, there's things that are bothering you, and then essentially you hit rock bottom and you're like, I can't do this anymore. Right? I have to fix this. And so then you do whatever you do to cause yourself to shift into the healing, right? And the healing actually is usually relatively fast. Like it doesn't take nearly as long as all the buildup or even the drown at the very bottom, but the healing happens pretty fast. But for me, there's another facet of it that I can't ever, I haven't yet, let's put it that way. I haven't yet really been able to, you can't neglect this part, I think. And for me, I call it like the recovery period, which is it's more like reacclimation. So you've shifted things within your energy field and you've healed something, you've dropped some thoughts. And usually, not all the time, sometimes it's beautiful and you don't even have this, but most of the time, if it's a big shift, you need some time to chill out. You need some time to stop thinking about all that stuff and stop being in that space and just allow it to kind of fall off of you. And that's where it came from. So I was in one of those times, and luckily, people don't have to be around me when I'm listening to music all the time because I'm one of those really annoying people who finds a song and then I hit it on repeat till I can't stand it anymore, right?
I relate to that. Yep. Yeah.
So I was in one of those phases when I kept listening to a couple of songs, and then at some point when I get done with the enjoyment of it, sometimes it's there, and I think to myself, like, why am I stuck on this song? And then I listen to the words, or I think about how it feels and so forth. And what I noticed was it finally occurred to me, oh, love songs are not written from man to woman or woman to woman. It's not person to person. It's really from your higher self or your true self to you. So if you listen to a love song and you take that approach, if it's a really good love song and it's aligned with a higher kind of energy, you can start to see the parts that are human that are just in a way it kind of feel like static. Like if it's just a phrase, like there's some love songs that are like, "Oh, woe is me," and if you love me, you'll do this thing, or if I share with you, will you love me? Right? Okay, so the will you love me stuff is the human part. But when they're sharing about how they love somebody, that's the higher version, right? Or we say higher, but it's a more true version of who each of us is. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come through. So, and language is because love songs are what I'm talking about is they have lyrics, right? And so, yeah, we use language, and language in itself is constricting, and it has to go based on a human construct of how the world works and blah, 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 blah. So, you can kind of like drop all that and get into the feeling of it. Maybe a few of the words out of this love song are really, really potent, like they just stick out to you, right? And that's just what I found. And so then I started to realize, oh, I'm like this is the reason I'm picking these songs. These are the reasons I picked the songs when I was a kid that I didn't know why I liked this one over another one. Well, that one's like focused on being super needy and clingy, and that didn't vibe with me even as a child, right? Or this one's really about how they love this person or how they feel when they're with this person that they love. And that vibe, yeah, that I jive with. And then if I like that on top of the sound, then there you go. And then what else is better other than having a good song on, right? Like it
I
just makes you feel good.
I agree. Unless I'm like on Zoom or in a meeting or something, but usually I have music playing in the background all the time. And I like diverse music. So sometimes I have like that, like that classical type music, or I have the binaural beats, or I have like music that like you think I was driving down the street in a gangster car.
Yeah,
Like, do you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah,
has.
but even though it doesn't even matter what genre it is, because if you really listen to what it's saying, right? So there's the sound part. I was thinking about this, I think maybe this morning. Here's a way to describe it. Imagine a toddler, okay? And you're playing music you like. And this toddler obviously likes the song, but the toddler doesn't know the meaning of the words, and they don't even know how to say half the words. But maybe the toddler is like starting to dance, right? Little toddler dance, and then maybe they start saying words. Well, what about us? Even more as adults, sometimes we hear songs we don't even know what they're saying, right? Like we can't, what is it? What is that little part? I can't figure it out. It
Yep.
doesn't really matter exactly what they're saying all the time. It's the vibe behind it. There's another guy, I don't know if you know him. His name is Jeremy. Do I don't know how to say his last name. Doemel. But
Okay.
he,
Talking
okay.
about.
Yeah. So he does music and he's in this world, right? And I asked him one time something about the music, and I was talking about this, like the there's something about certain songs that they have a certain vibe and they bring certain people in. It causes them to like it. Because if you've been to different concerts, different genres, right? There's a different vibe to each kind of genre, right?
Yep.
At the concert. And he said, and I think this is really, really accurate, that it's really more about where their energy is when they record the song.
I I totally believe that. So, um, my ex fiance that passed away, he was all into music. And it was interesting because he was like the drummer of a punk band, right? But like the thing that I attracted me to him was that it wasn't just punk music. Like he listened to all kinds of music. Like he was the one that really helped me to really appreciate it. But what he helped me appreciate, and he would always say, just listen to the frequency of it. Just be with the frequency of it. And then it opened up my entire world of, because sometimes I listen, like my son, I'll listen to some music. He's like, why are you listening to that? And like, I get it. If I was your age, I'd probably be thinking the same thing. But now it's about the frequency. Like, am I aligned with it? Or like, even if I need my frequency to raise up, like, what is that? What is that music that has the frequency to help raise that up, or whatever it is that I'm doing. So I find that like now I use music a lot just for healing, because I know that there's some things that, you need to do some healing work. But then when I kind of sit with it, I'm like, is this a frequency thing that I just need to like, like pull myself out of? So sometimes I'll just sit for hours and listen to music. And by the time I'm done,
You've
and I step out of that, whatever it was that was like standing in my way, being that nagging thing, it's gone and it doesn't come back. So I think it's just so amazing. And I'm so glad that you brought up music. Like frequency really can heal and shift you and get you to wherever it is that you need to be. Do you agree with
Yeah,
that?
and the thing I think that we're touching on but not actually saying is that when we were actually talking about this just before the live here is, a lot of what, not a lot, some of what gets in our way gets spurred on by behaviors that we do, right? And some of those behaviors are, maybe it's just like you're thinking a certain linear, like logical thought pattern. And that's all great and dandy, but sometimes you just got to stop it. You got to pull the plug and be like, okay, that's not working. Yank. You yank the power and then you have a total reset. That's what we do when we go to sleep, right?
Yep.
So, but we can do this while we're awake, and we can do it in a way that's positive, and getting into that feminine energy where we're being receptive. You have to be, I don't know if this is actually the right word. You don't really have to be happy, but you want to be in a place of pleasure or be in a place of enjoying something, right? And if you're
Yeah.
not there, then you're not really in the place where you can receive because you're too busy having a response to whatever the environment is that you don't like about it, right? And so the music, number one, it will stop your behavior, because think about it. If you walk into a space and it's like I went to Nashville with my husband a couple weeks ago, and I'm one of those people who I've been to concerts before, and there's some of them that I like them, but usually I'm like, oh, that's just too much. It's too many people and it's too loud. And so we were on, I guess it's called Music Row. It's really weird because it doesn't look like it used to. 'Cause it used to just be like recording studios, which was not exciting. But now it's like bars and restaurants, and it's so loud. Like the music, they have live acts and all these bars, and he loves that stuff. Okay, so we go into the quietest one. And there was a table at the back that was, I thought, too big. And so we were sitting up at the front and the speakers were right there. And I sat down and I was like, and he looked at me and he was like, I could tell he knew that this was really not going to work because it was just, and it wasn't bad music or anything. It was just too loud. And so we moved to the back. But it's like recognizing that the way that your energy shifts when you're around that. The same
Mhm.
thing happens if you're in your house and you put on the kind of music you like. If you have a favorite song, we all have like a favorite song of the time, and it
Mhm.
puts you in a really good mood, right?
Yes.
So music
Yes.
has that ability to do that, and it doesn't have to be logical and it doesn't have to make sense. You just like it. That's it.
Yeah, it's so that is so true. Yes. Um, and here's the other thing is I think that we really do connect to frequencies. Like, when you get a song in your head, they call that an earworm. I get earworms a lot. And like, I don't even have to have music on, and I'm like, yes. Well, the other day I was like literally moving and dancing around my house to Girls Just Want to Have Fun in my head. And then, you start singing it. But what was so interesting is that prior to that, I woke up and I was like I was moody and in a mood. And then all of a sudden I get this earworm about Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I'm like, this is the best day ever. But it's all about frequency, right? Because even if you're hearing it, there is a frequency into that. And obviously my guides were probably like, she needs to have some fun in her life.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that. Like I'm telling you, anytime that my mood is down, the minute that I put on music, and I'll sort through that, but like it's not really the actual music itself, it is the frequency. As soon as I hit that frequency that elevates me up, that's the music I'm leaving on.
Mm.
You know
So
what
how would you describe that? Because it's interesting. I don't have a whole lot of personal I really don't have hardly I had like fifth grade music class. Like I don't even know how to read music. I can
I
just
mean?
tell you whether I like it or not. So I have no ed so you're talking to somebody who has no education in that. So how would you describe the difference between frequency and because I think there's a difference between frequency and vibration. What is frequency is like is it the wave pattern, like how fast it goes up and down, or is it how is frequency different? I guess is my
So I do think that, so I think this is my opinion. I'm like, I'll probably check this later. But, I think when we talk about getting into the right frequency, and I do think there's, scientifically, if you ever watch like somebody put a heart monitor on you and you see the thing go up, that's a frequency that it's showing you, right? So it goes up, it goes down, and then you can have the frequency that goes like this.
Mhm.
I think my opinion, I think that when we connect into things. So for example, the other day when I woke up and I was like, but I also had anxiety. So the frequency I would say that I was on looked like this. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So then I turned on the music, which is a form of vibration, right? And I do think that vibration is a form of frequency, but like it's a vibration. So I was literally sitting there like on Spotify hitting next, next, next.
Oh, you know what? I bet you were doing. So when the two waves come, you have two different whatever's the waves. They're at different heights and they're different lengths, right?
Mhm.
If they come together at the right way, they will amplify or they will flatten it out. So I
Yeah,
bet you were looking to find the homeostasis.
yes, that's exactly what it is. So when I hit it, I'm sure if I would have put like a heart math monitor on or something that
Mhm.
I should have tested this out because I have one. I probably went from this, right? To finally when I hit that connection, that homeostasis to,
Yeah, smooth.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Matter of fact, I've got there's a blog on my site that talks into this profound, literal, hardcore. I have a visual from the reading on the heart math monitor, okay, having
Mhm.
to do with emotion and how it changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like in the moment, I forgot that I had it on, and my daughter got mad at me, and I was frustrated,
it's all,
and like yeah, and it was all out of whack, right? And then
yep.
I remember I was like, whatever, just go do your thing, sixth grader. And so then I worked on the computer, forgot it was on. Then she came back over and like apologized and was trying to, and of course I felt great.
Yeah, and then it's all
And then, and part of, I was trying to show her the heart math thing. So I was like, oh, let me show you. Okay, I'll get you set up, right? I was so excited. And I go back over to the heart math program. And I'm like, oh, it's been recording. And so it like, I could see exactly when the emotions changed and how it affected the heart rhythm.
yes.
Yeah.
So when I think like it's so true. Like if you can change, like if you can, you know, experience the emotion because you need to, you can't just block it because it's gonna like find another way in, right? Experience the emotion, process the emotion, I guess be the emotion, right? Like it does. Like I like every like I mean, we came to this earth like everything is about emotion. We're here to experience things. When we talk about experiencing things, we have an emotion that's attached to it, right? Like it is impossible. I don't want to say it's impossible, but I'm going to say it's nearly impossible for us as humans to have an experience and not have some sort of emotion attached to it, right? I think that we do have the ability that when the emotion comes up for us to look at it and take a step back and go into that neutrality, right? But like I now we're getting onto like the heart math monitor, which I love, but like it's so true. Like I'm a test. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place because my brain is now going, but like I'm a tester. So when my friend first introduced to me heart math, she was doing something. She's like, I want you to be my guinea pig. We're gonna record your stuff. And at first, I've been through a lot of different, I guess, exercises you could say. Like I was a probation officer. So we did a lot of breathing stuff to keep us from having that tunnel vision. And I was thinking, oh, this is BS. Like I can control myself, right? there's my ego and my arrogance. So I tell her, okay, I'll do this. So the first time I put it on, I'm like, I don't need an emotion. I just know that I just need to do, A, B, and C, and I'll be fine. I'm telling you, I fought this thing to do A, B, and C, and it never regulated.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and the way and then I started really paying attention to it, and it was like, and then you
Yeah.
see, and then go like this, right? And then as I got frustrated because it wasn't working, it's like,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So then I was like, okay, I'll do like she's teaching, and I will go into a sense of appreciation and gratitude. So I started thinking about my son, and I noticed it's all.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, well, I go back to the A, B, and C thing, and it's all.
Yeah.
And then, if you have the older version and it beeps, like,
Oh, I
it can
didn't.
tell you when you're out of it. I'm like, stop beeping. But anyways, but then I think that's when my mind really went, everything is connected to emotion. And
Yeah.
connected
I
to
mean, yeah, and the training that I actually only did a little bit of, I did enough of it. I think I was really meant to get involved with that to the degree that I had the blog written.
Mhm.
And then I had somebody else try and train my kids. And I'm sure that was a huge lesson for all of us, like on all levels. But I haven't, I have two extra ones that I still need to sell, but I like it. And what I liked about it was that it gave people, like for you and I, we got to see a concrete proof of the fact that that does matter. And it was really interesting that it was that emotional component that made it different. And I went to a Scientists, Mystics, and Sages. I think it was in 2019 in Albuquerque. And so it didn't have Deepak Chopra, but it had Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, who's my favorite, and Anita Morjani. And then there were also other people that I didn't know quite so well. I actually didn't even know Joe Dispenza until I went there. But he had us, I went with a friend of mine, and there were like 1,200 people there, and they taught us this practice. I don't remember, I guess it was probably the heart math kind of practice thing. But when I was doing it, I was like, oh, that's Reiki. Like, I know how to do that.
Right.
Right. And my friend she'd never taken any Reiki training or wasn't familiar with any of this energy work. And so she had this, she liked to verbalize. So it was like all this, oh, it was so profound. And da, da, da. I'm like, yeah, okay. I know it's profound, but this is like a reminder that I know how to do it and it works. Um, and it was, that's where I found out about heart math. And so for me, being in the world at that point, I wasn't quite fully into this spiritual world. I was like teetering between the two. And so I felt, oh, this is a great tool for people who don't think that the emotion or the thoughts that they matter because it's proof positive that it does. So just like you, right? Even though you're even in this world and you've been seeing energy since you were born, right?
Yep.
It still is helpful to see that it really is in a concrete form. Here's your literal proof of that. So, yeah.
Well, and I do like things where I like the supernatural things too that you can't explain, but like I do like those things that when they come, I'm like, well, here's the proof of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's because like when I work with other people, I want to be like, well, here's the proof of it, right? But I want to come back around to using the monitor with music and emotion. So that was like another test that I had. I'm like, let's test this thing out. Let's give it a good test drive, right? So, it was one morning, like I woke up again. I was like feeling like the I'm not the like I wake up early, but I'm not the best morning person. If you haven't picked up on that yet, and I like you have my morning coffee, and I'm like, "Ugh," right? So I'm like, well, I'll put on my heart math monitor and I'll try to get it in. So I'm using it. I'm getting frustrated as hell because like this thing is just not like the beeps are going off and it's driving me crazy. And I thought, oh, well, like I know that my frequency, and when I find the right music, tone, like the vibration and frequency, that I can level out. So sure enough, I'm like, okay, let's put it to the test. I put on music. I feel my energy shift to connect with it, and leveling
Smoothing.
it starts
Yeah.
leveling out. So then like I go back to, well, like how am I feeling right now? And the music put me in a sense of just calm and peace. So even like the way that it, well, I don't, it depends on which one that you have now. Like before it was like the circle. Well, you can have
Oh.
the variant of it too, but like, but it was so interesting. So then I like knowing that my friend, right, she's watching us and taking her data and her notes. Every time that I went to use the heart monitor, I put on music so I didn't look like I was so like out of control.
Oh, uh-huh, uh-huh. You know, that's really funny. It's so funny because my children, so they did not enjoy this experience. They did not think he knew what he was talking about. The real truth of the matter was that the person who I had hired to do this knew about heart math, but he didn't know much about kids and he didn't know much about teaching. Okay.
Okay.
And so my kids are children of a teacher, three generations essentially, right? So it's like thoroughly they understand a lot of things that a lot of even children don't understand. Like, no, no, that's how it works. That's what a teacher does, right?
Right.
They saw all this stuff and they would get so frustrated because it meant they had to sit still for whatever amount of time, right? And it was so funny because one of them, I don't remember which one, they said something to the extent of, I will just do something like you were talking about, like kind of like they teach military people like to bite their tongue or do some, give themselves some pain to set off the lie detector.
Oh,
Right?
yep.
So that when they release, it's fine, that same kind of
Yep.
thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, super interesting.
But you know what the truth is, in the long run, it actually really helped me out. So I started to really learn how to regulate my system, even though I was trying to quote unquote cheat the system,
Mhm.
right? I'm like, I can't have her see me like this, right? Like there's that ego piece again, right? But like, but in the end, it actually really helped me.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know, maybe this is from my guides or maybe like I trained myself. So now when I'm in that like, jagged frequency, um and like, and I don't have to necessarily put on music, like all of a sudden an earworm comes on and I'm like, and you can see it because
Yeah,
it shifted me into that the emotion that I needed to be in
yeah,
alignment, right?
right. Yeah.
So with that being said, because we know that love is like the highest vibration, right? The highest vibration that you could be. um why what is your opinion on love, and like love being like the foundation for remembering your true self? Like, do you feel like
Well, I think the foundation for love, remembering your true self, is that love is your true self. A matter of fact, this actually plays into being a human. I get critiqued. And
no?
and somebody was saying something, or I was thinking like, well, maybe I should have done this differently. Maybe they expect me to like berate them, or because this is totally not my jam. I'm not interested in like making somebody feel bad. If they were in one of my programs, like I tell them straight up, that's not my thing. I'm not going to do that. But I was kind of thinking along the lines of what somebody else was saying to me and thinking maybe that's something I should do differently. And I thought to myself, no. And why? Well, why would I not do that? Because if I'm trying to embody what the true self is, which is love, right? If the highest version of ourselves is love, love does not berate, right? Like that is not its motive, right? Like it doesn't do that. So it's there, it's ready for you to see it, it's ready for you to embrace it and to welcome it, but it doesn't turn around and And
Yes.
so that's why I think that's why I don't do that. And I'm going to say that from here on out is essentially I don't do that because that's not of the true self. That's not what it is. And so I would say, why is it so connected to your true self is because they're essentially the same vibe, right? They're the same frequency that you're talking about, which is if it feels like love, genuine love, not ego love, not conditional love, all that kind of stuff, but genuine, heartfelt, unconditional love, then that is your true self. It is the same thing. So if you connect with that, you're connecting with your true self. So if you listen to the songs and you pick a good one, okay? I mean, I can give you a couple of them, but one of them that I hadn't heard in years, I mean, it was a couple years ago, somebody that I knew on social media posted this and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about this lady. I totally loved her songs." It's Sade. spelled
Yes.
Spe.
Oh, I love Sade.
Yeah. Okay. So I totally forgot about her. So that came up and then it disappeared for a while. And then I don't know why I pulled her back up again. But then I started like picking out because you didn't buy as much music back then as
Right.
you didn't have access to it. So I didn't buy any of her. I wasn't of the age to be able to do that. So now I can see all of her songs, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go see what all the rest of them are because these two that I know are awesome are awesome. And so as I was kind of going through it, I was just like picking out the ones like, oh, I remember these five songs. But what are the ones that I really like? And so she's got one that says By Your Side. So that's the name of it is By Your Side. And of course, I actually looked up a couple of them. I was like, what does this mean? Well, like there's one that's the sweetest taboo. And I
Mhm.
looked up the meaning of that. And then one of them was like suggesting it was about an orgasm and all kinds of da 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 da. I'm like, maybe. I don't know. And so the one that's By Your Side is perfect. Like when this idea came to me that it's love songs are from you to you, and you listen to the words. The thing I love about songs is that they leave out all of the yammering that is a lot of what we're doing right here, which is like the full, complete thoughts and, you know,
Right.
going off on tangents and things, because they don't have time for that. They got to convey a message pretty quickly, pretty efficiently in a way that sounds nice. So you get to eliminate all of that stuff. And so that's one of the songs I would recommend people look up is By Your Side by Sade and look at the lyrics. And instead of reading it as a romance from one person to another, look at it as your true self is singing this to you in her voice. How wonderful is that?
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check
That
it
one
out.
I bet next year when the Spotify list that says how many times did you listen to these songs, that one's gonna be on the top.
Right? Gosh, I haven't listened to her in a long time, but the moment that you mentioned her name, I instantly felt my body connect to like her tone and who she is. And I was just like, "Oh, yes." Like, I when I was young, I listened to her when I was like in love. I
Yeah.
listened to her when I was going through like a bad breakup. Like I listened to her because there was something about her, like just the vibe, the frequency. And I love that you said that. Like we're here chattering away about all of our thoughts. But that is one of the things that I always thought about with music is that it eliminates the noise,
Yeah.
you know? Um, Oftentimes when I go out into public and I have the head like I'll usually always have headphones on. And I use the headphones, like the ones that I can still hear around because I'm all about safety too, right? Got to know what's going on. But what's so interesting is that I usually am playing like music or something because it helps drown out the noise
Oh, it absolutely
of
does.
the
And matter of
world.
fact, I went to my son's high school graduation last June, I think. I forgot. I was a teacher's kid. And of course I graduated and I liked school and all of that mess. But oh Lord, I forgot when I sat down there, I was like, oh my God, if I had been a kid with a cell phone and headphones, even if I was a teacher's kid, there's no way you would have kept that from me. Uh,
Right?
because it does help you to keep your sanity in a sense with
Mhm.
all of the other garbage that's going around. As parents, I think that most parents oftentimes will get frustrated at their kids because they have it in their ear all the time and they either don't listen or they turn around and start yelling at you because they can't hear you.
Right. Yeah.
And so I mean I understand that and I understand, being a parent that sometimes it's frustrating because it's like you guys aren't even here in the moment right now. But are they really? Are they really not in the moment? Are they in their own moment and they're just not
Right.
in your moment?
So when my son was going through school and high school and everything, every year I would get a call about him like being all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And I would just sit and wait. And I'm like, here it is. I have to go in for a meeting. I have to have a talk with them. I got to talk about like how he is. But what's really interesting about my son, and actually one of the teachers, when she called me in for the meeting, kind of tested this, like he can be all over the place, but he can hear you. You do know what I mean? Like he's listening. He's just kind of all over the place. And she said, one time I tried to catch him because he was just like I don't know. He was probably like, like, what are you doing? And she goes, I told him, you repeat back to me what I said. And apparently he repeated back verbatim what
Mm.
she said. So after having that, started thinking about it. And I was like, the reason he's all over the place is because of the noise, like the stimulation. Like we are so stimulated as human beings. Like everywhere we go, the minute we step out, we're stimulated with something. So I knew that he liked music, but usually the rule is when you're in the classroom, you can't listen to music. So I started having conversations with him. I'm like, just let him play his music. I promise you, if you let him play his music, I'm like, he'll stop picky poking around. You
That's
will
right.
find that he can hear you. So finally, like when we moved to Southern Arizona, we finally got into like a really good school district. We got into a good school. And because the other schools would be like, no, he can't do that because then all the other kids will want to do that. And I'm like, I understand that. But this school district was like, well, if you believe that will help him, we are completely open to it. And I thought, oh, thank God, right? So he started wearing music and going into class. Not that he was a bad student, but like he went from like A's and B's to getting straight A's.
Yeah.
He stopped disrupting everybody else. Like even the teacher said, like they would remind him to put his earphones in so that he could hear them.
Work better. Yeah. So
So
did he get diagnosed with ADHD?
yeah, at a really young age, he had ADHD, and then they were like, well, you need to medicate him. And I was like, you know what? I tried it one time, and I swear to you, I was in the devil's lair. Like it made him so angry. Like, and then as soon as
Well, I think we have had ADHD for a long time, and then people just they didn't have the word for it. They didn't have the adjectives, or they
yeah,
didn't have the label for whatever. But I think that there's more people who have that than I think probably had in the past. But it's just a different way that the brain works, and I frankly think it's just really a microcosm for the way that we all work, in the sense that we have to find the right amount of distraction to allow us to focus on the part that we need to focus on.
yes,
I describe it like this: the last time I did a book report, I didn't like reading. I love reading. Now that I know that, I love reading. I just don't like reading what they told me to read, right?
yeah,
I had to write a book report in fifth grade. I picked the book because it was the shortest book possible that would qualify. And it was so boring. I don't remember what the story was about. But the way that I got myself to actually read it was to be on roller skates up at I live very close to elementary school. So up at the elementary school on roller skates, skating backwards in a circle, listening to headphones while I read the book. Okay. And that helped me enough to be able to get through the book, and then I could write the book report.
right.
But we're all doing that. Like it's to what degree do we use these distractions to then focus on the thing that we really need to focus on, whether that be something 3D or whether it be the true self. So that's why I think music does a wonderful job, because it calms us,
Mhm.
excites us, it stimulates our brain enough, but then it doesn't stay there so long that you can then go into the emotion of it and experience it. So it's like it hits everything.
Yes. And it really does work with the vibrational patterns of your nervous system, right? Which is really coming from the heart, like the vibrations of the heart. So yes, I have always loved music. I loved it even more when my fiance really started to explain to me about his theory, right, of what it was. But then like as then when I had my son, I really saw the magic that it worked. Oh, we have somebody that's coming in. Hold on a second. So, um, yeah, it's so incredible. So, I think we talked about several practical steps, just getting closer to like practical steps when we're talking about music and how music works, right? So, I don't know if you have any more to elaborate on, but do you feel there's any more practical steps to get us to that closer to like that remembrance of who we are?
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, this is what I do, right? Like this is and I would venture to argue that that's actually what we're all really doing. We just don't know that we're doing it. I'm just now aware of it. So we were just touching on what level of distraction do we get so we can focus, right? So if we're talking about remembering the true self, which just really means connecting with the bigger part of us, right? Um, of course there's patterns. We touched on behaviors before, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a running joke between my friend Janelle and I, but meditation's always the answer. You know, like I'm sorry, it is. You have to go within. You can't get the answers from outside. Although we live in this world, so we're meant to be here, we're meant to ask people questions, interact, we're meant to be having this conversation. But
Hmm.
the real juicy, the super juicy, like that that food that you love so much that that's like all you can think of, that part of
Hmm.
life and this conversation is not necessarily in the words that we say, but it might be in the spaces in between, or it might be in the space in between the person listening to it and them like thinking about it, and maybe they go to sleep and then they process, and then 2 days later all of a sudden this aha comes up, right? That's the juicy part. That's the thing that we're really looking to get towards. And yes, it does happen in conversation like this. It happens in regular interactions. It happens when we're listening to music. It happens if we're creating something and that's something we like to do. It happens in all different facets of life. It's right there. It's just waiting for you to see it. So I would say, yes, there are behaviors that you can do that help you to facilitate this remembering. Absolutely. And so number one is meditate in any form or fashion. And I also am a pretty big proponent of, I remember just after my husband died and I don't know what I was doing. I was just surviving, right? And listening to all kinds of things. And then I got to the point where I had listened to enough Deepak Chopra that I was like, okay, so the answer is always meditating, right? Like,
Yeah,
but I
right.
don't want to sit like this and I don't want to do that. And, and then I listened to him enough for him to, it finally came through. And I don't think he actually said it, but it finally came through because he talked about what the real essence of meditation is, which is not the position. It is not the breathing. And it's none of the individual things. It's the process of turning inwards. That's all it is. And so again, it's about this distraction. You're in a physical body. What do you do with your physical body that allows you to focus on what's inside? And so whatever pattern that is that works for you. So people like me who don't like to sit still a lot, and at that point I was actually in a lot of pain. I didn't realize it. Um, Exercise is a fantastic. I didn't realize I was doing that as a child. I would go out and ride my bike for, I mean, like, I don't know how long, 10 miles or something. And my friends would be like, "Oh, you're riding your bike again? Why do you do that?" And I was like, this is where I like, I get my peace. I can go all day long, but I want to be out there because we lived where there were a bunch of trees. So I could just like, and it wasn't hot. And it was just like, I was in the zone. And I, even as a high schooler, I called that absorbing when they were making fun of me. But that's really what I was doing. I was just like in the zone, experiencing life. I was listening to music that I liked at the time. So it was putting me in I was like the perfect formula. So it doesn't really matter how you meditate, but you
Right.
want to meditate. Um, so meditation is first and foremost, and it's the most consistent thing throughout. And it's also something that we can physically do, right? Um, and the other most important thing I would say is it's quiet the mind is what we're talking about, but you and I are having coherent conversation. You're waiting right now because I'm talking and you're processing what I'm saying, okay? In our heads, we don't always do that completely. Like we don't pause to process. We like it just is like this running diarrhea, right? They
Right.
call that stream of consciousness when they put it in writing. It's just a normal, natural phenomenon that happens, but we have to stop that. And it does stop. It's possible to stop, but you have to notice it first. And that's what meditation often does for people is they, especially if they think they have to be quiet, is they feel really uncomfortable because, oh, they want to move. Oh, but wait, now I'm thinking. All I'm doing is thinking. And so I would say this. Michael Singer's phrase, I love, it's my favorite one. Somebody tries to meditate and they're like, I can't do it. I'm not very good at that because this happens and that happens. And then I did it. And he says, how do you know? How do you know? Because you're not the one doing all that. Meaning the higher version of you is not the one doing all that. The
Mhm.
higher version of you is watching you do that. So, in that essence, you are meditating because you are connecting with that. You are aware of that. And then the next step comes where you actually allow yourself to calm that down and almost cease it. And the ceasing of all of that yammering, that's the juicy part. That's the favorite food. That's the keys. It's the glue for everything that brings you those aha moments where you say, "Oh, I get it now." And then things shift and you move on and you do something entirely different. So that's healing. That's what it is.
Yep, I agree. I'm with you on that too. When you about meditating, I remember when I first kind of stepped into this, I was like, I have to be like the perfect
Oh,
meditator, you know? And I would last maybe 30 seconds
hmm
because I would start getting really antsy and I really thought that there was something wrong with me.
hmm
And then I had a mentor say, like, she was asking me about stuff, and I'm like, well, I really can't meditate. And she's like, oh God, are you one of those that are trying to sit like this? And I was like, yeah, because that's what we're being shown. And she goes, well, what do you like to do? And I'm like, well, I like to move. Like I like to like kind of like exercise, but I didn't think of it. I don't normally think of it as exercising when I go to do it. She's like, tomorrow, I'll just go for a walk and we're going to call that meditating. And of course my logical mind is like, well, that's not meditating. I have to be like, you know. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I went out walking out in nature, and it was like, that was I call that active meditation, right? Because I'm moving as I'm doing that. All of a sudden I could feel myself get centered. All of this information started coming in, and of course, like, I start connecting with nature and I'm in this oneness. And I came back the next time I met with her, she's all, so how was your walking? And I said, oh my gosh, it was the greatest thing. I think that's my meditation. And she was like, do you realize that over 90% of the population cannot sit still and not have those like those running around racing thoughts? She's like, so you're just somebody who needs to move energy in order to do that. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, it was like my mind was just all
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah, and I think we need to articulate that more because there is that stigma. And actually, I would venture to say that it's also the same. This may not be for everybody, but I do think there's for a lot of people. That was the same kind of stigma that I held towards reading when I was reading this book for a book report, right? I didn't like to read, which means I didn't want to sit still or I didn't.
yeah,
And it wasn't that I couldn't read, okay? And luckily I had a teacher mother who just kept putting things that she knew I liked down in front of me, right? And then of course I would never stop reading it. And now I like read nonstop, but I don't read fiction. I read fiction as long as I had to get the grade, and then I was like, I'm done. And then I find out that my father was weird in the sense that somebody asked him at a party, they were adults and married, and somebody said to him, oh, did you read such and such novel? And he's like, no, I read a novel once and I didn't like it. And then he never went back to it, like
he's like, I tried it. I'm done.
yeah. And it's similar in the same sense that the what I understood at that age to be what is reading. Reading is a chapter book. It's a story and it's got all the and I was like, this is kind of boring. Like sometimes it was okay. Maybe if you had good artwork, it would be good, but like I didn't like that. And as I grew, I've evolved to realize I have more reasons why I don't like it. But that it's really irrelevant because it's just like that's what was presented to me to understand what reading is. Just like we have ideas that are presented to us of what is meditation. Here's the coolest thing is the most effective way to get to your true self is the easiest way in the sense that probably 6 months ago, probably when I had this same download, I was in a course and this person said, okay, you guys have to do this. And essentially the assignment was to chill out. It was like stop doing every other thing and just like you're like going to walk, It was like spend time with yourself. That's not hard, right? Like
Right? Oh.
so yeah, it's the easiest thing to do.
Well, I think as human beings, we've been taught to overcomplicate things. And truthfully, like when we're talking about spiritual, like anything that's spiritual, the end result is the simplest thing is the best thing. And
Yep.
we feel like we have to put all these techniques and this and that, but like truthfully, the simplest thing is the easiest thing.
Mhm.
Like, when I'm working with somebody, like, and usually the thing I say is, well, ask it. And like, I remember one time I was working with somebody, I'm like, well, just ask it. And they were like, what? And I'm all, just ask it. Like, what is it saying to you? And she's like, well, no, she literally told me, she's like, well, you're supposed to like move your hands and stuff. And I'm like, no, I just talk to it. Like, and it was so, and when she finally asked it, because she was, when she got out of her shock of me saying that, all of a sudden she started getting all of this information and this awareness of how to move forward, how to like heal it. And by the time she was done, she goes, oh my gosh, she's like, it really is that simple. I'm like, it really is that simple.
Mhm.
Like, it really is that simple. Like, we don't have to overcomplicate things. And I think going, like, bringing it back to music, I really think that's what music is. Like, it's not overcomplicated.
Mm-mm.
It's just getting, it's letting go of everything else and letting go of the noise is really
Mhm.
what it is.
Well, and the other thing that I like about the simplification and music is that most music gets to the, like you're describing, to the heart of the matter. And the thing that I find happens is for all of us when we make it complicated. When it feels like, well, no, I can't do that. And, like whatever the reason that whatever's going on beyond that, why are we resisting asking it the question? Or why are we resisting allowing ourselves to say what we feel, even in our head? Because a lot of times we don't do that, right?
Yeah.
There's some thought process or feeling or belief which is brought on by this 3D world that you're not safe or you're not loved or whatever it is, that you don't feel comfortable enough just to be who you are. Whereas if you go back to a 2-year-old, as long as they feel safe, they will tell you everything. But they don't hold on to anything, right? Until they
So
have trauma, they don't feel good. Like they don't feel safe.
and they're not afraid to do anything there. So it's so funny that you bring that up. And I know we're reaching our time, but so every few days I'll have a FaceTime with my goddaughter. She's going to be 18 months here very soon. And she's I adore her. So she doesn't quite have her vocabulary, but like I know she's trying to communicate with me because she's doing things, right? She's just doing like whatever things. So I was thinking about this actually last night because I had a brief moment where I got to have like a FaceTime with her. And so and Auntie Kelly plays games with her. I'm like, well, where's your head? And she's like, and I'm like, where's your ears? And I could see her excitement because the exciting thing is to say, where's your nose? So she points to her nose, but our thing is we don't point to the nose, we go in the nose, right? And then we fling it out, right? Like just fun. And of course, I have to add some sort of rowdiness for her parents to go, oh gosh, I hope I'm not in public and she's doing this. But I thought it was, but that's her being her true self. Like she was just embracing it, whether society's like, oh no, you can't walk around with your finger in your nose, flinging it out. But she doesn't care. So I go to end the call and her mom gets on the phone and she's all, I have to tell you, Auntie Kelly, you taught her a very bad habit. And I looked at her and I said, no, I said, I taught her to just that it's okay to be herself. So apparently they had taken her to the zoo and she was all, oh, herself. So I'll take some blame to that. But again, prior to us logging on, her mom sent me a picture and her mom told her it's time to get dressed. Apparently she did not want to get dressed. She's laid out on this big fluffy pink thing and she's got a book over her face. And so her mom sends me a video and she's calling her. She's like, I know you can hear me. And she's sitting there still. And then you could hear in the distance, you can hear going, and I look at those things and I'm like, to be a kid again, just to be your true natural self. There is no limit, like no limitations. Like it's all or nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. But and like my other favorite thing, and I'm being a little bit biased because I do love my goddaughter to death, but like the other thing is she loves music. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I talk to her on the phone, I ask her, "Where's your music?" And she'll go on and like, she wants mommy to put it on, but it's just, yeah, just to be like, and I bring all of this up as an example of that is remembering who you are, is that you are just whoever it is that you are, whether like you want to walk around with your finger up your nose, I don't care, but just, and and being who you are is really about loving who you are,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, it's just, you know, being that way, and so anyways, I go in on a rant about my goddaughter, but I love her. She's adorable, I'm gonna tell you. But she's brought new life into my life, that's for sure. But okay, so Blaire, you're offering you're doing a gift for donation. So just so that anybody who's on the call now or sees this later, there is just a $5 minimum. I'm like, we always encourage to give more because it really does go to a good cause, to give out scholarships, funding, education, whatever they're needing for those women to really step into their remembrance of who they are. Um, your free gift is a one-on-one session with you. Is that?
Yeah, 25 minutes to talk about where you are in your spiritual path and what are some next steps for you that would be best for you. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So a one-on-one with Blaire to get guidance on where to go next. I think that's very valuable because oftentimes, as we were talking earlier, you get stuck and you're like, well, where do I go? So I think that's beautiful. So it's a one-on-one 25-minute session with Blaire to I I just heard get you over the hump so you can keep going and really just stepping into your true authentic being. So thank you for donating that gift. I love Blaire, so if you feel drawn to it, please sign up with her. Just experience her for 25 minutes and know that that experience really is, going to a good cause. So I know that we're short on our time, but I am going to ask our audience, do any of you have any questions for Blaire before we say our goodbyes?
Can I make song suggestions instead of a
Yes,
question?
of course. Yes, yes, please share.
So, a couple of songs that I really love. One is Giants by Take That. And the other one, which you should know, is Starlight by Westlife.
Yes.
What was the last musician?
Westlife.
And to back up Marav in her suggestions, she's shared a lot of music stuff with me, and I'm going to tell you, she has really good taste in her music. When I listen to it, I'm like, yes, I can see why she likes this. So, Marav, now that you brought it up, I wasn't gonna say anything because it was for you and I didn't ask, but like, Marav, you connect so much with music and the way that it makes you feel. We've talked about that before, right? I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. You could say I don't feel like answering this, but like, do you want to kind of share your experience with music?
Well, I mean, what I love about concerts, about going to concerts, especially, as opposed to, just listen to the music at home, is, you know, when you're at a place with presumably, well, the concerts I went to is usually hundreds, if not thousands, depending on, the venue, the artist. But when you have so many people together singing the same songs, and, especially one of the moments that, will always be with me when I was at Wembley for the Westlife concert, and they were playing different songs, before they started. And one of the songs was Sweet Caroline. And
Mhm.
everyone was singing it together. And it was just, I'm sure we lit up the entire city or something. And, raised the vibration of like the entire planet. It was just.
Well, that's what it does. It absolutely does. I mean, it's the same thing as a group meditation, or like they have those things that are international, where people set the intention to raise their own frequency, or they set their intention to send love to a particular area or a group of people. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it does, and you can feel that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's like the best high ever, and it's natural. You don't
Yeah.
need anything.
Yes. Yeah.
But even just listening to, there are songs.
And what's so incredible, Marav, about you bringing that up? I mean, like none of us on this call was there, but as you were talking about it, I don't know about anybody else, but like I could feel the excitement of it. So it goes back to that memory, right? The memory and the emotion of it, as you were talking about, like like the emotion that you had about it, that you had when you were there, and it was probably in sync with the emotion of everybody else. Like I don't know about you, but like I could feel it when she was talking about it, and it made me excited to, like, I know I wasn't there, but in theory I would have loved to have been there just to experience that, you know what I mean? So the vibration doesn't stop, especially when we have that ability. Like I think that's the one thing that's amazing about us as humans, is that when we are in a moment like you just shared, Marav, of just being like super excited and feeling so good, all you have to do is just bring up that emotion of being there, and it radiates out to everyone.
Well,
And
yeah, it's a memory, right? Like, why do they all start singing in unison? Because they love that song to some degree, the different degrees, right? But they're all like, oh, I love that song. And then they start singing it. So they first tune into that frequency of enjoyment or love or whatever it is that is higher probably than where they were. And so then we're all at that place. That's why the memory can bring that back too.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Marav.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to share?
Um, well, I did have something I wanted to say, but now I forgot. Well, I just wanted to say that, before, until fairly recently, I never really paid attention to the lyrics, which, obviously are important too. Um, so now I'm a lot more choosy about the songs that I listen to. And, these songs, they're so uplifting and empowering. And especially Take That, they have a few songs that, I mean, that I just love. And, especially songs that, like Giants, literally, what the song is talking about is that we are giants, which, is true. So,
You'll probably find that a lot of the songs that you have in the past really loved, I think you'll find a common thread. Like I had a hard time when I was younger. Somebody would say, "What kind of music do you like?" Well, I like a lot of it, and oh, I like that too. But there were some that I really didn't like, right? And then when I became a teacher and was using music in class, and the kids, I didn't want to restrict what they liked or they didn't like. And I finally figured out what I had to say no to. And it was like certain topics. Um, and then so that's what it was. It was certain topics. I was a school teacher, so it had to be, if it's only about sex, because they reference sex all the time, right? If it's only about sex, or if it's about capping somebody, or drugs, because I'm a school teacher. And then, or if it's like angry, that's what I didn't like. I still I don't like, sometimes a good angry song is good, but for the most part, I don't like that. Because
or songs that, you know, no disrespect, of course, but I personally don't connect with songs that just an obvious example, Britney Spears. I was born to make you happy.
Yes.
No, you weren't. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
like, I'm nothing without you.
Right. Who's going to talk to themselves like that? That's not from the true self.
Right. I'm right there with you too. Like sometimes when I hear songs and they say stuff, I totally feel my feisty side, like she just expressed. I'm like, oh, I don't think so. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, we went over on our time, and Blaire, thank you so much. I always enjoy talking to you. We always start on something and then we just kind of go back, and then somehow we always make it back around. But I feel like it's always good information, and it's always just fun to chat with you. So thank you
for
so much.
having me. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on here, and I loved your topic and getting to talk about music. In all honesty, it was something different this time, is kind of how I felt. So thank you so much for bringing that to this. And I want to thank you guys, Marav and Cindy, for showing up and supporting. Thank you so much. And again, everybody, if you loved what Blaire and I had talked about, if you love her energy, please go into her speaker event where you can, the replay will be there. Her bio, her longer bio, not the shortened one that I gave earlier, is in there, and all her website and everything that you need. And then of course you can have that one-on-one with her too as well. So, all right. Thank you so much, Blaire. I appreciate you so much. And I look forward to the next time when we get to do it again.
Awesome. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.